Welcome to the explanation video for the April test of the Summerfield Open. Question number 1. How long did it take my family to get to Miami for spring break? It's 900 miles and we drove, where I averaged 70 miles an hour. Each time I had to stop for gas, that took 10 minutes, and my car can go 250 miles between fill-ups. So how long does it take? Well, first we can think of how long it takes to do the actual driving. I have to drive 800 miles at 70 miles an hour, so I can take 800 divided by 70, and that gives me 11.43 hours. But then remember, I have to stop for gas. Since it's 800 miles and I can go 250 miles between fill-ups, I have to stop 3 times. Each stop takes 10 minutes. So that's 30 minutes. So I can add those two up. But wait, I can't add those two up because one is in hours and one is in minutes. So I either have to convert both of them to hours. So 11.43 hours and 30 minutes is 0.5 hours. And that comes to 11.93 hours. Or I have to convert both to minutes. And I can convert the hours to minutes just by multiplying that by 60. So I have 686 minutes for driving and 30 minutes for getting gas. And that comes to 715 minutes. And that's your answer. 11.9 hours or 715 minutes. Question number 2. On license plates in North Carolina, the first 3 characters are letters and the last 4 characters are numbers. How many unique license plates can the state have? Well, let's look at the first character. So that first letter. There are 26 different possibilities for that. A, B, C, D, all the way to Z. 26 different possibilities. Now let's look at the second character. There are 26 different possibilities for that too. So now if you just look at the first and second characters, how many different possibilities are there? Well, you could have the first character be an A and the second character be an A. So AA, AB, AC, AD, all the way up to AZ. You can do BA, BB, BC, BD, all the way up to BZ. You can do that all the way till you get to ZZ. Well, there's actually a math function you can do for that. That's just going to be 26 times 26. There are 26 possibilities for the first character and 26 possibilities for the second character. So just for those first 2 characters, there are a total of 676 possibilities. The third character also has 26 possibilities, and you can kind of see a pattern. The first 3 characters are going to have 26 times 26 times 26, or 26 to the third possibilities. So for those first 3 characters, there are 17,576 possibilities. And hopefully you see the pattern. If you just had 1 character, there would be 26 possibilities. If you have 2 characters together, it's 26 squared possibilities. If you have 3 characters together, it's 26 to the third possibilities. The fourth becomes a little different now, though. The fourth is only numbers, it's not letters. So there are only 10 different possibilities for that. So you can take the total number of possibilities with the 3 characters, 26 cubed or 17,576, and then you can multiply that by 10 for the fourth character, and that gives us 175,760 different possibilities. You can go to the 5th character has 10 possibilities, 6th character has 10 possibilities, and 7th character has 10 possibilities. And if you put those all together, you'll get 26 to the third times 10 to the fourth. Now, where does the 3 come from? The 3 comes from you have 3 characters, each of which have 26 possibilities. And the 10 to the fourth comes from 4 characters, each of which has 10 possibilities. If you put that in your calculator, you get 175,760,000. Those are the total number of different license plates that North Carolina could have. Good job. Question number 3. Here's our compound interest problem. Both Adam and Pete can invest at 8%. Adam starts investing when he's 22 with $1,000 and he takes the money out when he's 60. Pete waits to invest until he's 30. How much would Pete need to invest to have the same amount of money as Adam when he turns 60? Well, this is the same equation we use every time. You take start times 1 plus your rate raised to the number of years equals what you end with. This is the standard compound interest equation, and I'm sure you guys are used to it. So for Adam, we can plug in all the values. We're starting with 1,000. We can invest at 8% and we can do it for 38 years, but we don't know what we end with. We can use this equation. We're probably pretty used to this. And we get 18,625. Now let's go to Pete. Pete's a little different. We don't know what Pete's going to start with. That's the question. But we know he can invest at 8%. We know he is only going to invest for 30 years. Adam started at 22, so he invested for 38 years. Pete's starting at 30, so he's only going to invest for 30 years. And we want Pete to end with 18,625, the same amount as Adam. So the equation looks like this. Well, this is actually a pretty simple algebra equation. We can take S, 1.08 to the 30th is equal to 10.06. You can do that in your calculator. So S times 10.06 equals 18,625. You can divide both sides by 10.06, and you get your answer, which is $1,851, $1,851. So Adam started with $1,000. Pete, if he waited at just 8 years, would have to start with $1,851. Question number 4. The equation for a band's awesomeness is awesomeness equals guitar solos cubed plus how hardcore they are times their loudness squared. So which band is the awesomeness and what's their score? So we have the scores of a few bands here. And what we want to do is we want to take each of their values for guitar solos, hardcoreness, and loudness and put it into the equation. Into the equation, guitar solos cubed plus hardcoreness times loudness squared. So for Motley Crue, we can take 7.4 cubed plus 8.4 times 7.9 squared. If you put that in your calculator, you'll get 929. For Iron Maiden, you can do the same thing, 9.8 cubed times 7.1 times 6.2 squared, and that gives you 1,214. And for Warrant, actually, you don't even need to do Warrant. Hopefully it's obvious just by looking at those numbers that there's no way their scores are high enough to even compete with Iron Maiden and Motley Crue. But if you did, it'd be about 1. They would have a very low score. So the answer is Iron Maiden with a score of 1,214. Question number 5. The probability of rolling a 9 or higher with 2 dice is 27.8%. So if you roll 2 dice together, the chances of getting a 9 or higher is 27.8%. Question A asks, what is the probability of rolling a 9 or higher if your first roll was a 6? So if you still roll those 2 dice, but you roll them one at a time, and your first roll is a 6, what's the probability of a 9 or higher? And then question B is, what's the probability of a 9 or higher if your first roll was a 2? So let's look at A first. Remember, we rolled a 6 the first time. So for our second roll, we can get a 3. A 6 and a 3 is 9. That would work. We could get a 4, a 5, or a 6. Any one of those 4 possibilities would give us a 9 or higher. And that would mean that the probability is 4 out of 6, or 67%. So if we roll a 6, the chances of us getting a 9 or higher with our second roll is 67%. What about B? What if we roll a 2? If we roll a 2, there's nothing we can roll on our second roll to get us to a 9 or higher. The best roll we could do would be a 6, and a 2 plus a 6 is an 8. That still doesn't get us there. So the probability is 0. So there are your answers. Answer A is 67%. Answer B is 0%. And as we talked about live, this is really important because probability is something where the more information you get, the better the answer you can get. So at the beginning, we knew that the probability of rolling a 9 or higher was 27.8%. However, when we learned a little bit more, when we learned what our first roll was, we could get much more accurate answers. That applies to so many things in probability and makes that field of math really fun and exciting and really useful. All right, our last question. A sphere's volume is 4/3 pi r cubed, and a sphere's surface area is 4 pi r squared. If a sphere's surface area is 600, what's its volume? Okay, so the volume we just said is 4/3 pi r cubed. So that's what we need to figure out. What's its volume? Well, we need to figure out what the radius is. What is r? Well, how do we figure that out? It just so happens we know the surface. The surface is 4 pi r squared, and that equals 600. Well, the r for volume is the same as the r for surface area. Now, the difference is we know what our surface area is, and that becomes an algebra equation. 4 pi r squared equals 600. Well, you can solve for r. R equals 600 divided by 4 pi, and then r squared equals 47.746. Take the square root of both sides. R equals 6.91. Well, now we know what r is, right? Remember, that was the problem we had for volume. We didn't know what r was. So we can take 4/3 pi r cubed, and now we'll put in 6.91 for r. So 4/3 pi times 6.91 cubed, and that gives us our answer, 1,382. Great job, guys. As I say every single time, and this is so true, these tests are hard. These tests are written at the 6th, 7th, 8th grade levels. And the fact that you guys are taking these tests is just phenomenal. The fact that you guys are doing well is fantastic, and I'm so proud of you. The next test and the final test, and where we'll determine our winners, is going to be on May 16th at Summerfield Elementary School at 3:15. I'll see you then.